are back in studio. I'm Christine Bentley with Sharon Caddy. And, you know, they do say that regardless of who founds a company and what happens, the key, the absolute key to making your business a success is marketing.
Well, that's
and we have a 5-star here. Her name is Rachel McQueen. She is the VP of Marketing for Loyalty, but it's really Air Miles, right?
Right. The Air Miles Reward Program.
Yes, and that is the premier loyalty program in Canada and maybe around the world. I'm not sure. It's huge.
Well, certainly in Canada it's huge. 10 million collectors, so 2/3 of every Canadian is carrying our card, using our card every year. And in fact, if you go back sort of 20 years ago when the program started, it really was the first coalition loyalty program where multiple brands come together.
I still have my first card and the baby club sticker that went on
Wow.
it. She's in university. The sticker's still on the card.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. That's a dedicated collector.
It sure
That's
is.
good to see.
So, Rachel, for all the women entrepreneurs out there, business owners out there, what would be your 5 key messages to them about the importance of marketing and how to execute? Because I'm sure it's changed.
Do you know, it's amazing the amount of change that's happened over, I've been at Air Miles almost 19 years, and the amount of change is just phenomenal. I think, if I was to look at it today, I would say, think about, what you love about your product or your brand. And then really, with the advent of social, it really is about sharing that across social channels. So think about how you can tell your story. And then for Air Miles, certainly, we look at how do our collectors tell our story. Mm-hmm. And so that's really what I would first start at, which is, what makes you excited and passionate about your brand.
And then tell that message.
And then how do you tell that message? And whether it's you telling your message or how do you get your customers to tell your message? So if you think about it, consumers really trust their peer group. And certainly with the advent of social, it's less about brands telling you about their brand, and it's more about you getting advice from your friends, your family. So how do you get your advocates, the people that love your brand, to tell your story on your behalf?
And how do you do that then?
Well, it's take a look at where your customers are. Mm-hmm. And then engage them. This idea of co-creation, if you look at, it's amazing the power of consumers today. They are funding movies to be made. They are getting their TV shows that are, to continue with their series. Consumers have amazing power. And so think about how you can engage your customers in helping you tell your story.
So let me ask you, you're huge. How much feedback do you ask for, and do you actually listen to from your customers?
That's a great question. I would say, one of the biggest changes that's happened in marketing is the ability to actually get feedback from your customers. And so, Facebook, they have over 1 million Facebook fans. They give us feedback every day. When they tell our stories, when they tell us what they like, what they don't like, we've used that to then create new aspects of the program. Our Air Miles Cash program came from collectors telling us, yes, I like Dream, but I really also want instant. I want to be able to save on my everyday. So we introduced Air Miles Cash. Those kind of enhancements come from collectors giving us feedback.
Well, in fact, we have talked to crowdfunding sites where they have said they've put a product up, and they really rely on the feedback of the people who go to that page at Indiegogo or wherever, and the feedback saying, well, I really like the product, but I would really prefer if you had this and this and this, and they have actually changed their product because of that feedback. An interaction that probably didn't happen 10 years ago, did it?
It certainly couldn't have happened in the instant kind of way it does today. Marketing years ago is about focus groups and about getting a small group of people together in a room. Well, now it's about it's a focus group of millions, and it's instant and it's real time.
Now, in the 19 years since you've been there, which is pretty much almost the life of Air Miles,
close to it,
you've been there through this entire transition period, and I imagine the consumers jumped onto it a lot more easily than changing the headspace of marketers. How much of a challenge was that at your end?
I'll be honest, I think it still is a challenge.
Really?
If I think about, some of the hardest things to do is keep up with the pace of change that's happening. If I look at our marketing team, 5 years ago, we were we were focused on email and on our website, and now it's about Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and Twitter. And you think about keeping up with the conversations that are happening across so many channels. And certainly our younger collectors, they expect instant connection. They are instantly connected. They expect the brands that they work with are going to be instantly connected to them as well.
And viral has become a big deal.
Yeah, well, I mean, I see it on Twitter, for example, that somebody will tweet out something and they do expect an instant reply. I mean, do you find that your social media team has just exploded?
Well,
had to explode.
It has had to explode, and I would say that it's been evolving, and it continues to evolve. I'll be honest, we don't have all the answers. We're figuring it out as we go along. I think it's changing so rapidly. It's hard to know exactly what is the right solution, but certainly we've merged our PR team and our social team as an example, because it really is about telling your story, whether it's through traditional media or social media. We are working exceptionally close with customer care. I think certainly what we have learned, while we originally thought some of our social channels were about us telling our story, it's clear in channels like Twitter, it's really a customer service channel for us. So how do we make sure that our customer service team can keep up with the conversations that are happening across those channels?
But I think you're saying that you're being sensitive to the change that's happening as you are watching, but that's the case for everybody, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not just traditional brands, but the emerging of, brands like Uber and Airbnb and, where they are really leveraging this sort of sharing economy and the power in the hands of the consumer. And how do you sort of look at what some of those emerging brands are doing, and they're growing so quickly, and take from that and say, well, what can I do to apply to a more traditional organization that we have?
We are chatting with Rachel McQueen, VP of Marketing for Air Miles, who's getting us up to speed on some of the things we want to know and need to know when it comes to marketing. And Air Miles has done an outstanding job, and we see it in the number of businesses that now have aligned with Air Miles. That's the other big change I've seen since those early days. You really boast a vast array of businesses where you can collect.
So, absolutely. And, for us, that also comes from collector feedback. Our consumers are saying, I want more opportunities to earn this currency. And so we have over 200 brands, every category from, grocery and gas and liquor and pharmacy to hotel and car rentals. It's a wide variety, and that really meets the needs of our consumers.
It does.
But you really were a pioneering company in the sense that now there's loyalty
Everybody's
everywhere.
got
I mean,
it.
now Starbucks has got it. I mean,
Yeah.
where it wasn't before, and you really were ahead of the curve as a company, thinking, I think people will like this. That if they pay, they kind of get double points back. Right.
And from a partner perspective, it's about not only giving something to their customers in a currency, but it's also about how you leverage the data. So I think, if I go back to what are the top things I would recommend, certainly, understanding what drives the passion for your business. And I would say leveraging consumer data to drive relevancy. If I was to go back 20 years ago or 18 years ago when I first started, there's a lot of question from consumers around what data are you collecting and what are you doing with it. And I would say one of the significant pivots that's happened over the years is that now consumers are saying, I know you collect my data, but I expect value in exchange. So if you're going to capture my data, I expect that you're going to return more relevant offers, better discounts, new experiences, things that are relevant to me. And so I would say that's been a significant shift. And I would say any organization that's out there should really look at, what data would help me increase or enhance the experience with my customer? And then how do I capture that in a way that is respectful, but has reciprocity, that there's a win-win. Win for the consumer to get something incremental of value, and win for the business to be able to drive better sales, better margins to their business.
So let me ask you, and maybe you will be honest about this, what was your biggest surprise in the way marketing has emerged in the last 18 years?
Biggest surprise? I would say, so the proliferation of loyalty across every category has certainly been interesting. I would say the rise of data and how technology has enabled really the shift from marketing to channels, right? You do an e-campaign or you do a web campaign, to really marketing to consumer across multi-channel. I think the fact that mobile. I think Google last month, announced that they have more searches happening on smartphones than they do on desktops today. And the pace and the speed in which marketing and communications has evolved to being mobile first, I think has been so surprising. And that's not over the last 18 years, that's over the last sort of 3 to 5 years, how fast mobile has really dominated. And I think, again, from a marketer's perspective, historically we've been sort of an interrupter. We do a pop-up when you come to the website, or, we put something in your inbox to sort of disrupt you. And I think that technology now is about integration. And I think the brands that will win the hearts and minds of their customers are those that can integrate in and create an enriched experience for their customers. How do I make, people are time starved, so how do I make it more simple, more relevant, more exclusive? Those are the kind of experiences that consumers will love. And I think that's where you get some of these brands that are, have great followership and are being built off of their consumers telling their story. It's, I'll tell you, we laugh around the dinner table. We'll go to a party and we'll end up talking about Nest thermostats. Now, I can tell you, I have never had a conversation about a thermostat before. But now, and folks at the office will tell you, I am passionate about my Nest thermostat because it makes my life simple. It knows me. It learns me. When I'm away from the house on holidays, I can check in and see what's happening with the home. And, and again, that is about, I'm an advocate. I tell their story. Because they've made my life simple, they've made it's intuitive, and I think those are the kind of brands that are going to do really well.
Well, we are just absolutely delighted that you could join us. I mean, Rachel is a superstar in the world of marketing and gives lots of talks, and so for all our listeners,
thanks for having me.
And I want to throw out there, though, if you don't collect air miles and you don't have a card in your wallet like I do, you should have one.
You should.
Easy enough to get, right?
Absolutely. Airmiles.ca, and I would say we've got some exciting announcements coming over the next couple of weeks.
Really?
We do.
Well, then
Check
you really
out next
want
Tuesday.
one.
Well, we can see that you are evolving with the times, so, as soon as you're old enough to get one, get one.
Come on, get with the cool kids.
Get with the cool
air
kids.
miles.
Click the channel subscribe button for full-length interviews and more from What She Said here on YouTube.